8 hours of sleep, perfect mattress, blackout curtains, every sleep hygiene rule followed. And yet, you wake up more exhausted than when you went to bed. What if the real reason you're drained has nothing to do with your physical rest at all? What if your body slept perfectly fine, but something else didn't rest? Edgar Cayce, the most documented psychic in American history, discovered why your soul leaves your body every single night and what happens when it struggles to return. By the end of this video, you'll understand the hidden mechanism behind this exhaustion and learn the exact 3-step technique Cayce gave to ensure you wake up energized instead of drained. Have you ever woken up feeling like you've been somewhere else all night? Like you've been working, traveling, having intense conversations, even though your body was lying perfectly still in bed. Dreams so vivid they feel more real than your waking life. And when your eyes open, there's this strange sensation like you're not quite back yet. Like part of you is still out there somewhere. Maybe you've noticed that some mornings you wake up and you feel displaced, not quite present, like you're looking at your room through a fog. You go through your morning routine on autopilot because it takes you an hour or two to feel like yourself again. You've probably chalked this up to grogginess, poor sleep quality. Maybe you've even been diagnosed with insomnia or sleep disorders. Here's what conventional sleep science won't address. This isn't insomnia. This isn't a chemical imbalance or circadian rhythm dysfunction. This is something happening in a dimension that modern medicine doesn't measure. And if you're experiencing these symptoms, you're not broken. You're actually more spiritually active than most people. Your consciousness is doing exactly what it's designed to do. The challenge is that nobody taught you how to navigate the return journey. Edgar Cayce spent over 4 decades documenting this exact phenomenon through 14,000 recorded sessions. What he discovered will change how you understand sleep, consciousness, and the real reason you wake up exhausted. So who was Edgar Cayce, and why should you trust what he discovered? Edgar Cayce was born in 1877 in Hopkinsville, Kentucky. He died in 1945, but in those 68 years, he became the most documented psychic and mystic in American history. They called him the sleeping prophet because he would enter a trance state, a sleep-like state, and while in that state, he could access information that his conscious mind had no way of knowing. Over his lifetime, Cayce gave more than 14,000 readings, 14,000 documented sessions where he diagnosed illnesses, prescribed treatments, explained past lives, and revealed the hidden mechanics of human consciousness. And here's what makes Cayce different from every other mystic or spiritual teacher. His readings were recorded. Stenographers wrote down every single word. These weren't vague prophecies or poetic metaphors. These were specific, detailed explanations of how reality actually works. The medical establishment of his time dismissed him. Mainstream science called him a fraud. But the people he helped, the thousands of people whose lives were transformed by his readings, they knew the truth. Cayce had access to knowledge that our conventional understanding of reality simply cannot explain. And one of the core teachings that appeared again and again in Cayce's readings was this: during sleep, your soul, your consciousness, separates from your physical body. Your body remains alive, animated by what Cayce called the life force. But your consciousness, the real you, leaves. It travels. It engages with spiritual dimensions that exist parallel to our physical world. This isn't metaphor. This isn't symbolism. According to Cayce, this is literally what happens every single night. Now, if you're hearing this for the first time, I know it sounds radical, but think about your own experience. Haven't you always felt like dreams are more than just random neural firings? Haven't you had dreams where you learned something, where you met someone who gave you advice that changed your life? Haven't you woken up with solutions to problems you were struggling with, solutions that seemed to come from nowhere? Cayce explained that these experiences are real because your consciousness actually goes somewhere during sleep. And the exhaustion you feel when you wake up, that's not because your body didn't rest. Your body rested perfectly fine. The exhaustion comes from the spiritual activity your consciousness engaged in while you were asleep. So let's break down the mechanism. Let's talk about what actually happens when you fall asleep according to Edgar Cayce's teachings. When you close your eyes and drift off, your consciousness begins to separate from your physical form. Think of your body as a vehicle and your consciousness as the driver. During waking hours, the driver is fully engaged, hands on the wheel, navigating physical reality. But when you sleep, the driver steps out. The vehicle remains running in idle mode, maintained by autonomic life force, but the consciousness is free to leave. Where does it go? According to Cayce, your soul travels to energetic dimensions. Some people call these the astral planes. Others call them the spiritual realms. The labels don't matter. What matters is this: these dimensions are just as real as the physical world you're reading this in right now. They operate on different frequencies, different laws of physics, but they are real. And your consciousness goes there to learn, to heal, to connect with guides, to process unresolved emotions, to work through karmic patterns. This is why some dreams feel like work. Because they are work. Your soul isn't resting during sleep. It's active. It's engaged in spiritual labor that is just as demanding, sometimes more demanding, than physical labor. You might be resolving conflicts with people you know. You might be receiving teachings from spiritual guides. You might be revisiting past lives to integrate lessons you haven't learned yet. All of this requires energy, and here's where the exhaustion comes in. Spiritual activity drains energy differently than physical activity. When you work out physically, your muscles get tired, you need food and water, and sleep restores you. But when you work spiritually, you're using a different energy system. You're drawing from your soul's reservoir. And if you're doing intense spiritual work all night long, if your consciousness is traveling vast distances through energetic dimensions, if you're processing heavy karmic material, you're going to wake up drained. But there's more to it. Cayce also taught that your body functions as an antenna for your consciousness. Think of it like a radio. Your physical body is the receiver, tuned to the frequency of physical reality. Your consciousness is the signal. During waking hours, the signal and the receiver are perfectly aligned. You're tuned in, you're present, you're here. But during sleep, your consciousness tunes to a different frequency. It shifts from the physical channel to the spiritual channels. And when you wake up, there's a retuning process. Your consciousness has to shift back from the spiritual frequency to the physical frequency. And if that re-entry process isn't smooth, if there's misalignment, you wake up feeling off. You wake up feeling like you're not quite here yet, because you're not. Part of you is still tuned to those other dimensions. Let me give you the 3-step breakdown of what's actually happening. First, soul separation. When you fall asleep, your consciousness detaches from your physical body. This is a natural process. It happens to everyone every single night. Most people just aren't aware of it. Second, spiritual realm activity. When separated, your soul travels to energetic dimensions. This is where the real action happens. This is where you're learning, healing, working through unresolved issues. This is why dreams can be so vivid, so emotionally intense. Because they're not random. They're reflections of real experiences your consciousness is having in other dimensions. Third, the re-entry process. When it's time to wake up, your consciousness has to return to your body and realign with the physical frequency. And this is where things can go wrong. If the re-entry is jarring, if you're pulled back too quickly, if your consciousness was deeply engaged in spiritual work and didn't have time to properly disengage, you wake up exhausted. You wake up feeling like you've been hit by a truck, because energetically you have been. This is the hidden mechanism behind chronic fatigue that no amount of physical rest can fix. You can sleep 12 hours and still wake up tired because the issue isn't physical sleep, it's spiritual re-entry. But here's what makes this even more fascinating. Cayce discovered that not everyone experiences this the same way. Some souls struggle to return. Some consciousness gets tangled in those other dimensions. Some people have such intense spiritual activity during sleep that the re-entry process becomes traumatic. And there's a specific reason why this happens to some people and not others. So here's what we've established so far. You sleep, but your soul leaves. Your consciousness travels to spiritual dimensions. You engage in real spiritual work that drains your energy. And when you return, if the re-entry isn't smooth, you wake up exhausted. This is Edgar Cayce's teaching, documented across thousands of readings, confirmed by countless people who recognize their own experience in his words. But here's what Cayce discovered that changes everything. There's more to this mechanism. There's a reason why some souls struggle to return, why some people wake up more drained than others, why some consciousness gets trapped in those other dimensions for longer than it should. And in the next part of this video, I'm going to reveal the complete mechanism, the full picture of what's happening during your sleep. And more importantly, I'm going to share the simple technique Cayce prescribed to control this process, to ensure smooth re-entry, to wake up feeling energized instead of drained. Because once you understand the full mechanism, once you know exactly what's happening and why, you can take control. You can stop being a victim of unconscious soul travel and become a conscious participant. You can transform your sleep from an exhausting nightly ordeal into a powerful tool for spiritual growth. The secret is closer than you think, and it's been hidden in Cayce's readings for nearly a century. Stay with me. Remember how we discovered that your soul actually leaves your body during sleep, that your consciousness travels to higher dimensions while your physical form rests. Here's the revelation that will change everything. Cayce discovered that the exhaustion you feel when you wake up isn't from the journey itself. It's from the return. Think about it. Your soul has been operating at a completely different vibrational frequency all night long. It's been moving through dimensions where time doesn't exist as we know it, where energy flows in patterns our waking minds can barely comprehend. And then, in that moment when your alarm goes off or morning light hits your eyes, your consciousness has to slam back into dense physical reality. That re-entry, that's where the problem lives. That's the secret Cayce uncovered that changes everything about how we understand morning fatigue. The ancient mystery schools knew this. The yogis understood it. But Cayce was the first to articulate it in language that made sense for our modern world. Your soul isn't just randomly floating around during different sleep stages. It's engaged in specific work, and the quality of your return depends entirely on whether your body is properly tuned to receive it. Let me break down what Cayce taught about this re-entry challenge, because this is where the science of consciousness meets ancient wisdom in the most profound way. Your soul returns to your body at a specific energetic frequency. Cayce was incredibly precise about this in his readings. He described it as a vibrational signature, unique to each individual, that has to match perfectly for smooth reintegration. But here's what modern life has done to us. We've created what I call energetic static. This static interferes with that perfect frequency match, and that interference translates directly into the exhaustion you feel. What creates this static? First, unresolved emotional tension. Every argument you didn't finish, every feeling you suppressed, every boundary you failed to set creates energetic debris in your subtle body. Your consciousness has to push through that debris to fully reconnect with your physical form. Second, electromagnetic frequency exposure. Your phone charging next to your bed, the Wi-Fi router in your bedroom, the smart devices constantly pinging signals through your living space. These create a literal electromagnetic fog that your returning consciousness has to navigate. Third, the cortisol and adrenaline residue from chronic stress. These stress hormones don't just disappear when you fall asleep. They create a tense, contracted, energetic field around your body that makes re-entry feel like trying to put on clothes that are 3 sizes too small. Cayce explained that when there's misalignment between the returning soul and the physical body's energetic state, the consciousness literally struggles to fully inhabit the form. Part of you makes it back, but part of you remains partially disconnected, stuck between dimensions. That's why you can be technically awake, but feel like you're moving through thick fog. That's why coffee doesn't actually fix the problem. It just stimulates your nervous system enough to override the disconnection temporarily. Now here's where this gets truly fascinating. During those hours of sleep, your soul isn't just wandering aimlessly. According to Cayce's readings, your consciousness engages in 3 primary activities. First, healing work. Your soul actively participates in repairing not just your physical body, but your energetic field, processing emotional experiences, integrating lessons from your waking hours. Second, learning. Your consciousness connects with higher dimensional teachers, accessing knowledge and wisdom that your waking mind isn't yet ready to fully comprehend. Third, soul connections. You interact with other souls, both incarnate and discarnate, continuing relationships and completing soul contracts that extend far beyond this single lifetime. But here's the critical distinction Cayce made, and this is what most people never understand. There's a massive difference between growth-oriented projection and unconscious wandering. When your soul projection is intentional and aligned, you return energized because you've been engaged in purposeful spiritual work. But when your projection is unconscious and chaotic, driven by unresolved fears or attachments, you return depleted because you've essentially been running on a spiritual treadmill all night, expending energy without purpose. Your body during all of this, it's functioning as an antenna, and just like any antenna, it needs to be properly tuned to receive the signal clearly. When your physical form is cluttered with toxins, tension, and electromagnetic interference, it's like trying to get a clear radio signal during a thunderstorm. The signal is there, your soul is returning, but the reception is terrible. That poor reception manifests as exhaustion. Let me give you the specific signals that tell you your return is misaligned. You wake up and immediately feel a sense of disorientation that goes beyond normal grogginess. You feel emotionally fragile or irritable for no apparent reason. You have a specific heaviness in your chest or throat, as if something is weighing on you. Your dreams were vivid and exhausting, like you were working all night instead of resting. You feel more tired than when you went to bed, even if you slept for 8 hours. You have difficulty focusing or feel like you're observing your life rather than fully participating in it. These aren't signs that something is wrong with you. These are signs that your consciousness struggled to fully reintegrate with your physical form. On the other hand, when your projection is growth-oriented and your return is aligned, you wake up with a sense of clarity and purpose. You might not remember specific details of your dreams, but you feel like something meaningful happened. You have sudden insights or solutions to problems you were struggling with. You feel energetically charged, even if you didn't sleep as long as usual. You have a sense of connection to something larger than yourself. This is what Cayce called conscious sleep, and it's what the great mystics throughout history have practiced. The yogic tradition talks about prana, the life force energy that consciousness rides like a vehicle. When prana is controlled and directed, the soul can travel and return with precision. The mystical Christian traditions speak of the soul's night journey, where consciousness ascends to receive divine instruction. The Sufi mystics describe the heart as the throne where the soul resides, and they teach specific practices to keep that throne polished and ready for the soul's return. All of these traditions understood what Cayce articulated. Your body must be tuned correctly for your consciousness to inhabit it fully. So now you understand the mechanism. Your soul leaves, engages in spiritual activity, and must return through an energetic field that's either clear or cluttered. The question becomes, how do you actually control this process? How do you ensure that your soul projection is growth-oriented and your return is smooth? This is where Cayce's technique comes in, the practical method he gave that has been protected and practiced by advanced spiritual seekers for decades. I'm going to walk you through the 3-step process that changes everything. Step 1, evening energetic clearing. Before you go to sleep, you need to clear the static from your energetic field. This doesn't require complicated rituals or expensive tools. Get a small bowl of water and add a pinch of salt. Hold your hands over it and set the intention that this water will absorb any energetic debris you've accumulated during the day. Dip your fingertips in the water and touch your forehead, your heart, and the base of your spine. As you do this, visualize any tension, any unresolved emotion, any electromagnetic interference draining from your body into the water. When you're done, Pour the water down the drain with gratitude. This simple act creates a clear, energetic field for your soul to return to. Step 2, alignment intention. As you're lying in bed, ready to sleep, place one hand on your heart and one hand on your belly. Take 3 deep breaths and then speak this intention, either out loud or silently. I direct my consciousness to engage in healing, learning, and soul connection during this sleep. I return to my body smoothly and completely, bringing back the gifts of the night. This conscious direction is what separates growth-oriented projection from unconscious wandering. You're telling your soul exactly what to do, and you're preparing your body to receive your consciousness back with clarity. Step 3, morning reintegration. When you wake up, before you check your phone or jump into your day, take 60 seconds for grounding. Place your feet flat on the floor if you're sitting on the edge of your bed, or lie with your full back against the mattress if you're still lying down. Take 5 deep breaths, feeling your body's weight, feeling the points of contact with the surface beneath you. Visualize roots growing from your body into the earth, anchoring your consciousness fully in physical reality. This completes the re-entry process and ensures that all of your awareness is fully integrated into your body. These 3 steps tune your body as antenna perfectly. The evening clearing removes interference. The alignment intention directs the signal. The morning reintegration ensures complete reception. This is what Tibetan monks do. This is what Christian mystics practiced in their cells. This is what indigenous shamans have taught for thousands of years. Cayce simply gave us the framework that makes it accessible for anyone, regardless of spiritual background or experience level. Now I need you to understand something crucial. You are not broken. You are not doing anything wrong. The exhaustion you've been experiencing isn't a sign of weakness or failure. It's actually a sign that you're awakening to a level of consciousness that most people never access. Your soul is already engaged in spiritual work during sleep. The fact that you're feeling the effects of misaligned return means you're sensitive enough to perceive what's happening in your subtle energy body. That's not a curse. That's a gift. Most people sleepwalk through their entire lives, never questioning why they wake up tired, never investigating the deeper mechanics of consciousness. You're here, right now, learning this information because your soul is ready to move from unconscious participation to conscious direction. You're not a victim of mysterious exhaustion. You're a developing spiritual practitioner who's learning to navigate multiple dimensions of reality. The validation you've been seeking is this: your soul's spiritual activity during sleep is proof that you're growing. The dreams that exhaust you are lessons being integrated. The morning disorientation is your consciousness expanding beyond the limits your waking mind is used to. The heaviness you feel is not depression. It's the weight of spiritual knowledge that hasn't fully translated into conscious understanding yet. Every single symptom that's been frustrating you is actually evidence that you're evolving. And here's what changes everything. Now you can direct this process instead of being drained by it. You're no longer at the mercy of unconscious soul wandering. You have the technique that lets you say exactly where your consciousness goes and how it returns. You can wake up tomorrow morning and know that the night wasn't just blank unconsciousness or random dreams. It was purposeful spiritual work that you directed with intention. You're part of a lineage now, whether you fully realize it or not. You're walking the same path that Edgar Cayce walked, that the mystery school initiates walked, that every conscious seeker throughout history has walked. This isn't New Age fantasy or wishful thinking. This is the practical application of wisdom that has been tested and proven for thousands of years across every spiritual tradition on the planet. You belong to this tradition of people who refuse to accept surface-level explanations, who dig deeper, who take responsibility for their consciousness in ways that most people never consider. Cayce saw this knowledge not as something to hoard or keep secret, but as something to share with anyone ready to receive it. The advanced practitioners who've been using this technique didn't hide it to keep power for themselves. They protected it because they knew most people wouldn't believe it or wouldn't be willing to do the simple practices required. But you're here, you're ready. That readiness is what qualifies you to use this knowledge. Now you know the secret that Cayce revealed about why you wake up tired. It's not about sleep quality in the conventional sense. It's not about your mattress or your sleep schedule or your diet, although those things matter. It's about the journey your soul takes every single night and the quality of its return to your physical body. You now understand the mechanism that creates exhaustion and the technique that creates alignment. Tonight, try it. Do the evening clearing. Set the alignment intention. Tomorrow morning, do the reintegration practice. Pay attention to how you feel. Notice the difference in your energy, your clarity, your sense of presence in your body. This isn't something you have to believe blindly. This is something you can test and verify through your own direct experience. If this knowledge resonated with you, if you felt that spark of recognition that tells you this is truth you've been seeking, do me a favor. Hit that like button so this video reaches more people who are ready for it. Subscribe to this channel because we're going deep into hidden knowledge every single week, revealing secrets that have been protected by spiritual traditions for centuries. Your engagement tells the algorithm that consciousness content matters, that people are hungry for real spiritual wisdom, not just surface-level motivation. Your exhaustion was never weakness. It was never something wrong with you. It was your soul's journey, becoming conscious, demanding that you pay attention, calling you to step into a level of spiritual practice that most people never discover. You answered that call by being here right now. Honor that by putting this knowledge into practice. Your consciousness will thank you for it.